Hey guys, I am getting ready to make some soap, but I thought today I would walk you through some of the steps that I do from the very beginning. I'm not going to show you everything, but some of the prep work that I typically don't show you. So I just clear off my workspace. I am a big believer in keeping tidy and cleaning up as you go. Clean this off, and then I use either wax paper or parchment paper. Parchment paper is a little bit more expensive, but it's all I have right now, so that's what I'm doing. Anything that's going to create a barrier, or if you don't care about your workspace, which I really don't because this is just a piece of wood, but it's easier to clean up. It's easier to just like fold this up and throw it in the garbage than having to sit there and scrape every little fleck of soap that I've gotten on this surface. A kitchen counter is really ideal if you're just starting off and you're like, I don't even know if I'm gonna like making soap. Start in your kitchen. Just make sure everything's cleaned down and anything is out of the way as far as food ingredients or drink ingredients. You never want to have an open drink container where you are making soap. One little fleck of lye is going to get in there and it's probably not going to kill you, okay? But you don't want to run the risk, and it's just good to have good practices in place. That way you set good habits from the get-go. Another thing I don't often show is making my lye solution. And I do a good percentage of my water weight in ice cubes because that reduces the amount of any steam that rises from there, but it also makes the process faster because you're not waiting for your lye solution to cool down as much because it doesn't reach as high a heat. One of the things that I do, I put sugar in almost all of my soaps. And now that sounds weird, and when I first started soaping, I'm like, I'm never going to do that. But I've been convinced, and I do it in nearly all of my batches now. And I'll tell you why. It helps increase the bubble. Anything with natural sugars of any kind, honey, maple syrup, goat's milk, any kind of milk at all, powdered sugar, brown sugar, regular granulated sugar, those kinds of things are going to increase the bubble. It doesn't increase the cleansing amount in your soap. It still will retain the same cleansing amount. However, most people equivalate, what's the word? I can't even think of the word. Equivalate, whatever. They say if it's bubbly, it's cleansing, but those are two different things. So this is more of a creature comfort than it is actually changing the bar of soap itself. However, it is a mental thing, very psychological. I'm convinced to my core. So that is why I do it in every batch. So I was out of sugar in my container that I use to prepare. I have a shelf right above where I'm holding my camera, which is my phone. I have several shelving units, and I have jars like this that have titanium dioxide, and I have kaolin clay, and I have dried gomphrena flowers. So I have all of these things right within reach. So while I'm making, especially on the tops of my soaps, a lot of times I'll change my top design as I go because I'm like, okay, what I had planned is not gonna work. So I need to think really fast. And if my ingredients are right here within arm's reach, it's easy to adjust and not have to run to another room or dig around in a bin. It's all right here in my area, and it's super helpful. And these jars are really great. I don't actually make soap in glass because if that shatters, and it might, that would be not good. So these are just storage containers that I use to really organize and make my life easier, as well as bring a nice aesthetic to my work area. I'm just about to work with my fragrance oil. I've put my glasses on. If I'm working with any ingredient that is not meant to be in your eyeballs, I put my glasses on. These are glasses, what are they called? Safety glasses. They're just safety glasses. They're probably $2 at Walmart or Home Depot or Lowe's. I got these gloves. These are for your full arms. They're actually gardening gloves to protect your arms from weeds and stuff that you might be allergic to. I'm allergic to a lot of different plants. And so wearing these in the garden are great, but wearing them for soap is also well, because it protects your arms from any lye burns, and any soap that has not saponified is capable of burning your skin. So I always want to cover up, but I don't want any ingredients splashing into my eyeballs. So I have my gloves on, I have my goggles on, I have a stainless steel pitcher that I do my fragrance oils in. This is not necessary, but I like this. I got this on Amazon. It was probably 10-15 bucks. It is a barista one. And so I just use this for all of my fragrance oils. It just helps me mentally to separate, okay, this is my fragrance oil, this is not my fragrance oil. I have containers that are just for my lye solution. Those are, you know, just for my lye solution. Those have a recycle code of 2 or 5. This one is 2. So you look for this recycle code here, and you want either 2 or 5. That is lye safe. I also prefer one with a lid that screws on, because if this were to dump and it didn't have a lid on, it's gonna splash everywhere. And if it didn't screw, like, that's a nice tight seal. This was an old cornstarch container. It does not need to be fancy or cost a lot of money. You can recycle, reuse whatever you have if it works and if it is safe. So I have my stainless steel pitcher, I have my scale, I have my fragrance oil, which in this case is from the Midwest Fragrance Company. It is Love Spell. I am using this one because it decelerates trace, which means it slows the batter down. I have a very intricate design that I'm trying to go for today. I want something that's not going to speed up trace but slow it down. So that's why I have chosen this one. This does tend to create ashing on the soap after it saponifies. So I am aware of that, but I'm okay with that in this particular design. So I have my thing set, my scale set. I'm gonna get my this little thing came with the stainless steel pitcher, and I use it to pour my fragrance oils. It makes it a lot easier, and it took me a while to figure this out. But if you hold it right on the edge of the fragrance oil container, and then you just hold it and tilt it, it helps to create one steady stream. So if you go like this, it's going to pour down your side, like down here. It's so frustrating until you actually figure this out. It can be one of the most frustrating things, and you waste so much. But it's not you, it's the bottle. It's like, it's not a pouring bottle. And it's not the Midwest Fragrance Company. It's really any fragrance company. Their bottles are basically the same with that kind of spout. It's not an actual pouring spout, which makes sense. A pouring spout's going to be more expensive. So then I get my kaolin clay. And where is my... Come on. Okay. And I have these dedicated measuring spoons just for my soap making. This is not for cooking. This is not for baking. This is just for soap making. And I have this separated in a bin that I keep all my soap making, some of my soap making supplies in. So I know it's not for cooking. We don't intermingle cooking and soap making. It's just not something I like to do. So I put kaolin clay into my fragrance oil because it helps to soak up some of the scent. Now this is a very pungent smell. So really I don't absolutely need this, but I've gotten used to using it and I like it. It also adds a nice kind of slip to the overall soap bar. So it's a texture thing as well as something that helps, with the scent retention. And some things just don't retain scent well. Some things are just not great in cold process soap. I did a whole video on this with fragrance oil companies. It's not necessarily that a fragrance oil company is not good, but that a specific oil might react differently in cold process soap than others. So I have my mini mixer here. It's also a barista tool for coffee making, but I use it for stirring and blending, mixing in different things on a smaller scale. So you can see the kaolin clay does have some chunks. Well, maybe you can see, maybe you can't. It does have some chunks, and I don't want those chunks to end up in my bars. I want it to be fully incorporated. So this helps with that. Does make a lot of noise though. So I just kind of eyeball it and see if most of those are kind of worked out. You can do this the night before you even make your soap. So let's just say you're gonna make your soap tomorrow, you want to prepare, you can do this. Set your oil in the kaolin clay to soak overnight. And I personally do 1 tablespoon per pound of oil. That sounds like a lot, and it may be for some people, but I actually prefer that. Okay, so now that my lye solution and my oils, fats, and butters are all prepared, I'm going to go ahead and take the temperatures of the oils and the lye solution. And I'm going to just stir this a little bit because it was heated up and I don't want to get an inaccurate. Okay, 106. And the lye solution is 98.9. So I am going to wait just a little bit because, like I said, this is going to be a bit of a more intricate design. And the cooler it is, if I can wait just a little bit, I will. So this is time where I will prepare my colorants. I will prepare my mold. I'll get it out and have it on the ready. Any utensils that I'm gonna need, you know, like my strainer, all of that, I'll get that all prepared so when it comes time to be able to start actually making the soap, it's all ready. And this will probably take, I'll probably wait like 15 minutes. You could also get another white pitcher like this, fill it with ice water, and set this right down inside of that with the ice water surrounding it. And that would cool it down. If you were in a real rush, you know, you could do that. The same thing with your lye solution. You could take the container, put it into a container of water and ice, and to have it cool down faster. And like I said, the fragrance oil also is a decelerating fragrance oil, so it is going to slow trace down, but I still want to have a little bit more leeway. And working at higher temperatures, for me, historically has not ended well if I want to do an intricate design. So part of the way I combat that is to work at lower temperatures, and if my lye solution and my oils are roughly around the same temperature, especially within about 10 degrees, it seems to go well. And I know there are people that will argue that and say, oh no, that's just hogwash, whatever. But for me personally, that is what I have found, and that's what I'm going with. So I'm going to come back in about 15 minutes, check the temperatures again. If they're still not under 100 degrees, probably more close to 90 degrees, I'll wait a little bit longer again until it's around that 90-degree mark or a little bit lower. Okay, so I am literally in the loudest room of my house. I have the AC unit right outside the window. I have my washer and dryer. I have a large chest freezer and refrigerator. So oftentimes it's just too loud in here, and I am going to peace out on the talking for now, but I wanted to explain a little bit before I get started. I am going to do a Christmas soap with this design. The theme is the thrill of hope, and so I'm going to start with the black and kind of gradient up to the white, and then in the top corner it's going to be a brilliant yellow. So I wanted to explain that before I get started, and I know some of the captions sometimes are a little hard to read. I am going to try to alter to make sure that your viewing experience is the best it can be. So I love this. This black is so dark, but there's also some sparkle in there. Hopefully you can pick that up. But I'm really hoping for a lovely design here, and I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm back again. So I'm doing a gradient pour. I did the black, it turned to gray by adding the white, and then now I'm just adding some yellow to the white to add a gradual gradient to that really vibrant, bright yellow. And for those makers out there, I did get all of these colorants from Mad Micas. The black is Zero Gravity, the white is titanium dioxide, and then the yellow is a blend of, what is it a blend of? Tennis Ball Breaker, Bright Yellow Raincoat, and then I did add some Sparkle Sunshine to that as well. And if you saw me do the tiny little container, that was an oil drizzle that I'm going to add to this yellow bit in just a minute. And that'll add just a subtle, there you go, there it is.
That'll add a subtle glitter, a gold glitter, because as it gets to the top, I really wanted that vibrant punch of yellow, and the glitter really helps. So I'm not mixing it in, I just tossed it into the pitcher and I'm letting it fall where it will. I'm also going to use that glitter oil and mica mixture on the top. Here we go. There it goes. So as it saponifies, this oil mixture, it doesn't just sit on the top. It actually kind of like soaks in and evaporates. It leaves tiny little craters where the oil was heavier. So you'll see at the end when I post the actual pictures, you'll see what I mean, the little tiny craters of the oil. So this glitter is from the Good Glitter. They're an eco glitter company. This is gold, and I just wanted to have a little subtle flecks on top of the Sparkle Sunshine. A little slow-mo action for ya. I love it, the subtle glints of gold. And time to cut. So historically, when I have worked with Love Spell fragrance oil, it takes forever to set up. But I did a 1-to-1 ratio with the lye and water solution. So 1 part lye, 1 part water. I did follow a recipe. It's not like I just like freehanded it or went rogue, but I did do a severe water discount. So there's 0 ashing on these bars, which is awesome because with this fragrance oil, it almost always has ash. And it did set up really well. It went through a toasty gel phase. And here I am stamping. I stamped my business stamp first on the side. That's a custom stamp that I ordered from Amazon. And I think it was like 24 bucks. It really wasn't that expensive considering how much I've used it. And then this is a 3 stamp process with this phrase. I really wanted to stamp the entire thing because it meant something to me. And for Christmas, I really wanted that, the thrill of hope. And there we go. I'm just beveling the edges here with my little potato peeler that I got for $2 at Walmart. Does not need to be fancy in order to work. I've used this thing since I first started soaping, and it's held up really well over all the hundreds of batches. Now this is the initial cut. I did this like at 11 o'clock at night, so I'm going to show you the ones in daylight now. So you can see how proper lighting makes a huge difference. That yellow is super poppin'. And as you see the tops, you'll see those little indents from that oil and mica mix. It just adds a fun little detail to the top if you're wanting to try that. I was worried that the oil would just sit there, but no, it doesn't. It seeps in and then leaves those little tiny craters. And I feel like it really highlights the mica. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video.